Cuando sea grande, quiero ser fuerte e independiente. Quiero trabajar, ayudar a construir un mejor futuro para mi familia y mi país. Quiero luchar para que todos tengamos voz y seamos escuchados. Quiero que podamos crecer juntos. Quiero demostrar que es posible. Cuando sea grande, quiero ser como mi mamá.
Siendo ejemplo, podemos alcanzar el futuro que queremos. Banco BHD. El futuro que quieres.
Buenos días a todos. Obviamente no soy Rodner, pero creo que lo perdimos ayer en la fiesta, todavía no lo encontramos. Si alguien lo ha visto, por favor nos dice dónde está. Ahora que llegue todo, por favor, se lo dicen. Good morning, thank you everyone for coming. Gracias a todos los que estuvieron aquí puntuales. Estamos en República Dominicana, somos de Latinoamérica, ya conocemos. El próximo panel es un formato súper interesante y en realidad hay pocas oportunidades como esta para vivir esto. Realmente le llamamos un Ask Me Anything. Vamos a tener 6 increíbles panelistas con nosotros. No hay agenda, no hay script, no hay absolutamente ningún tema específico. Les pueden preguntar lo que quiera. Can they ask some indiscreet questions? No, right? Nada indiscreto, por favor, puras straight. Pero lo que sí es importante, aprovéchenlo. Están aquí para eso, para ayudarles, para contarles, para platicarlos. Tenemos varios micrófonos aquí para que lo puedan hacer y les voy a presentar con ustedes. Entonces, ok, Fabricio, por favor, si quieres acompañarnos. Peter, ya lo conocen todos, ya ayer estuvieron. Karen, Dorothy. Dania, Lucero. Joseph Tang. And last but not least, Leah Romero. So, you can start, Fabricio, Peter, y quieren empezar, break the ice.
Yes, so I'm Fabricio. I have a long history in buying and merchandising. I've worked at Barney's, Bergdorf's, Net-a-Porter, and now I'm just starting a new tech AI venture.
Hello, my name is Peter Pilotto. We used to have a fashion brand, currently figuring out a new brand, and yeah, excited to be here in the Dominican Republic.
Hi, I'm Karen Lim. I work at a company called Gogoluxe. We are a brand and retail consultancy, so with brands we help advise them on creative direction and retail strategy, usually emerging brands helping penetrate major markets. And then on the retail side, I work with Lane Crawford as a brand, I scout new brands for Lane Crawford, which is a large department store in Hong Kong and China.
Hi everyone, I'm Dania Ortiz. I'm the fashion director of Town and Country magazine. I've worked in magazines all my life, and also I was a fashion director of Michael Kors. And I'm very happy to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Joseph Tang. I work at Holt Renfrew, which is a luxury department store in Canada. We have all the biggest brands, and I work in our fashion department where I partner with our buying team to source new brands, create trends, and bring that life and story of the designers back to our customers in store.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Leah Romero. I'm the senior digital designer at Elle magazine, and I'm very excited to be here. I've gotten to know a lot of you, so it's been nice.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Pinto. I'm the founder of a hat company, and I'm born and raised in Panama City, Panama, but with roots in Ecuador. My question will be, this is a new emerging brand. I have been 2 years in business. I'm headquartered in Florida, Northeast. Would you advise such a small brand like mine or an emerging brand like mine to invest in wholesale platforms such as Door? And also, would you advise us to invest to be in trade shows such as Cuttery? That would be my question for you.
So a question for you. If you have a wholesale business, that is going to inform whether you should invest in Jewel or not. I think you have to evaluate the plus, like the cost benefit of what is going to bring you. If your business is still small enough, it's probably not worth it. I think you have to refine like your SKU count, like how much you have and how much work is going to alleviate for you. And trade shows, I think you really have to see who's your customer and who are your key stores that you want to reach out to, and see if they go to those trade shows or who else is going there to really make that decision.
What I was gonna say was, what type of retail stores are you interested in? Is it luxury stores like Holt, Renfrew, like Harvey Nichols, like Net-a-Porter, like Nordstrom, like Shop Up? Are those the stores that you aspire, or is it more like mom and pop shops all over the world? Okay, so she's more interested in you guys. Would you advise that she should go to a trade show like Coterie?
I think, I don't know how big your brand is, but you say you sell hats, right? So a trade show is a very large, complex. Some of us go to trade shows that are like football fields full of product. And you want to make sure that your product really stands out and you really define who your customer is, what your product offering is, and do you have enough of product and depth and breadth of inventory that's worth your time and money investing into a trade show. I think what a lot of us have just kind of been saying throughout the week is refine, your vision, understand who you want to target. Don't try to throw everything out to the world and get everything. Really narrow down, your key targets, create like a 5-year plan of key milestones of where you want to hit. And then once your business is a little bit bigger, then you can kind of dive into like the trade shows or tour. I think 2 years, you're still really young. It takes time to develop a brand, build brand awareness. And the last thing you want to do is invest all of your capital into a booth that people may not even go to.
Yeah, I would advise instead of Coterie, because coming from the buying side, I don't really go to Coterie as much anymore. I think it might be more beneficial for you and the attention that buyers will give you if you find a showroom in New York, or figure out what showrooms that the big department stores that you want to partner with will be going to, because like Joseph was saying, these trade shows are massive and they take like 4 hours to do, and some buyers just don't have time to look for newness that way. And I think that showrooms definitely may be worth your money more.
Also, I would like to say, in my point of view, is when you have a brand, it's very important to edit it out, make it, narrow it, and pick your favorite things that are more important, and not have 5,000 million things. Because when I go to market appointments and I see the brand, when I see tons and tons of stuff, I'm like, okay. But when there are 5 very interesting pieces, I'm like, oh, I like it. So, and sometimes at trade shows, for me, I guess direct to consumers, it's easier.
Hi guys. Thank you. So no, just. So the question I want to ask was on the back of Maria's question is, does Jor or New Order or any of these systems for buyers actually help with client acquisition, or are they just kind of ordering tools? Because so for instance, I'm just trying to figure out with you. For a small brand, you want to, it's chicken or egg, essentially, is what you're saying. But Jor and New Order have obviously developed quite a bit. Do they actually help on client marketing and acquisition, especially for something like accessories, which they're not the main, they're kind of not the main show in your store? Do you find stuff through Jor and New Order and these platforms?
Sorry, I kind of heard your question, half of it, but customer acquisition.
No.
You're asking if people actually find.
Yeah, I would say rarely. I mean, New Order and Jor are more like a buying tool. It helps with the logistics, information, all the boring stuff, all the codes and all color codes, all those things. To discover product, I would say really, social media, internet, in person. At least personally, that's how I discovered product. I have never discovered on Jor.
Designers.
That's my experience.
They market to stores, essentially.
Hello, I'm not a buyer, but as someone that does buy clothes a lot, I'll say that typically a lot of the brands that I found that I really fell in love with, I found at pop-ups. So they typically will rent out a space for a month and have some sort of collaborative pop-up with other designers. So it could be hats and dresses and shoes, and then you go to this pop-up for the month and you just kind of discover all these really cool brands that have a similar vision to you. And I feel that's just a really good way to kind of also have people find you if you're you have a brick and mortar where people can come and visit you, even if it's not for a year or two and it's just temporary. That's a really good way for people to see your product as well. That's all.
Hello, how are you guys? Good morning. Since you guys live in the United States and I'm Latin American and I don't live over there, which pop-ups do you recommend that are really cool and nice for starting designers with my brand? Sorry, I'm nervous.
It's okay, me too.
When I'm nervous, I forget my English, I'm sorry. But yes, which pop-ups that are really cool, that are like you go or like markets that are in New York, Miami, in Canada as well, in China too. That's another step because it's really far, but yeah.
One pop-up that I've gone back to a lot is called Tumbao. It's based in New York. They're actually on Instagram, and it's all Latin American designers. I've bought so many things there already, and I've told a lot of the editors at my job as well of all these really cool brands. And you could also start your own pop-up as well. Like if you reached out to brands that you really love, that you wanted to collaborate with. A lot of like, especially what like Hubs was doing today, where you see all these brands in this space, even if it's like just for a few days, that's just like a really good way for you to start your own or for you to collaborate with somebody else to start one as well. But yes, check out Tumbao. That one's really cool.
But I also think it's like a seasonal thing. You know, if you do winter clothes, maybe a pop-up in Aspen or like, you know, I'm just naming like cities, but you know, the Hamptons for a summer or Miami for bikini or, you know, so, and I honestly, I find a lot of the brands on Instagram.
Me too.
That's my biggest source.
Hello. Hi, I have a question for Peter. You're very silent. I wanted to ask you. So this is more towards design. You launched your brand back in 2007. What would you say the biggest differences are from, you know, retail and marketing perspective from then to now? And do you find these differences in a good way? Are they optimistic, or would you rather, you know, go back to when you first launched your brand?
No, I think there's never ever going back. I mean, I guess the main difference is that when we started, there was no social media. I mean, there was Facebook, but that wasn't so interesting. So obviously Instagram gives an opportunity to showcase your world and everything like it didn't exist when we started. So when we started, we had to go really the conventional route of the shows and the showrooms and trade fairs. And that's obviously such a hard way because at the very beginning, I was part of some trade shows, and that's just so scary because, like they said, these shows are so big, and to be discovered in a space full of product is the hardest. So I feel like to create actually intimacy is so important, and I think that kind of intimacy you want to create on your Instagram to show your world and to show what you're about, because obviously a buyer will or press will invest in your brand and wants to understand you, what you're about, that it's a longer lasting partnership that you start. And I think that's what's exciting about this moment, that with all these channels you can create your world and show it to the world and be discovered. I mean, the downside of that is, I guess, that things also are shorter lasting. I guess the attention span of people gets shorter and shorter, but that's why I think consistency with what you do is so key.
I have a question too, here on the front. My name is Andrea Gonzalez, I'm from Puerto Rico, and my question would be, what do luxury retailers look for when they're bringing a new emerging brand to their platforms? Do you look for an established community, a certain amount of previous orders, followers? Yeah.
I can say from my point of view, it's a point of difference. We're looking for something that we don't already have. So what can we offer our consumer that we don't currently have? Like, that's number one.
I would say to your readiness to produce is definitely key when we think of small brands, and if you can ship on time, if you have all the assets ready, so your lookbook, your line sheets, wholesale pricing, retail pricing, the markup that you have from your wholesale to the retail, that's really important for retailers as well. Just to make sure that, essentially just making sure that your internal and everything like that you have to do is, and provide the retailer is all set up and buttoned up, because you know, we could place an order as a retailer and then find out when goods, you know, need to ship that you're not ready to ship. And I think that that sets a bad precedence moving forward So I would just make sure, yeah, production and your internal logistics for sure.
Yeah, and I think for a luxury retailer or a big department store, in the sea of products, it's always good to have a very clear vision of who you are as a designer, what your story is, and how does that set you apart from everybody else. In addition to what Karen and Fabrice were saying, I also think that you should have the readiness to feel and be prepared to deal with how a luxury retailer operates. It's not like a little boutique or a mom and pop shop where you can kind of like ship half of it now when it's ready and the other half is going to come later. We have very aggressive targets and rules about how we accept product, how product is labeled, how it's priced. And then I would also say, you might want to do a little bit more research or understanding of like the fashion calendar, because a lot of the big department stores, they operate on these big seasonal deliveries of pre-spring, spring, pre-fall, fall. So you kind of need to understand what cadence and relevancy your product delivers in those ship windows, because if you miss those ship windows, you might get an order, but then we might return it back to you.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. Hello, can you hear me? Yes?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, perfect. This goes for Leah and Dania. Do you know who's your audience right now at Elle and at Tang Country? Who's your audience?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Better?
Artist?
No. Do you know who's your audience right now? Like, who are the women you are speaking? Audience.
Yeah. Perdón. Oh, gotcha. Who the audience is. I guess our target audience would be like all of us in this room, It's a lot of women, obviously. It's mostly women. But yeah, it's young people, probably mostly in their 30s, 40s, yeah.
I think as we are in the older, 40s, we have a very niche reader that is interested in the arts, is interested in high jewelry, in history. So it's a very worldwide reader.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. I'm here. Don't be afraid that I wasn't gonna come out today. No. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Sorry for being late. There was a little misunderstanding, but no, it's all good. Okay. So this is the question. Basically, I'm a TV personality. That's how I started my brand, because my followers wanted me to design for them, and I did that. It's been really great because I have an audience. I place a product, they buy it. They told me what they wanted because they're larger women, they're not skinny, they wanted it to be more relaxed, easy to wear, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm at a point right now, it's been only like a year and a half, in which I think I could entertain the idea of going into a retail store. But now, how is the process? Because I know there's a lot of aristas that go into selling your clothing brand at a store because they might place an order, but how's the transaction? Because sometimes I know it's kind of like concession-like. You give the clothes, if it sells fine, if it doesn't, they return it back. So for new designers here or small businesses here, how is the process and what can we expect if a big brand places an order from us? Sorry.
There's a lot.
Be honest.
I mean, there's a lot of terms that you can buy a brand under. Like there's consignment, you can just buy it upright. SOR. There's really a bunch of terms that you can put out there. So it's up to you to how well you negotiate with the retailer. In my experience, what I've seen with inexperienced brands, you sometimes get a retailer that is not the nicest, and they'll give you like horrible terms, like I need a discount, a sell-through guarantee, and they really push for a lot, and it ends up being really bad terms for the brand, like non-sustainable. So they're just so eager though to be in that big retailer that they take it. So you just have to be smart about it, and You know, like if it's not the right partner, the market is big enough, like you'll find someone, like either it's direct to consumer, next season, like you also want to stand your ground as a brand and not just sign it away because you want to be in that bigger retailer that has a big name. And be really careful because you can actually go bankrupt if you have the wrong terms and a big enough retailer.
Yeah, I would say too, another thing to look at is if you have inventory, you know, consignment could be an option. We work with brands like Kika Vargas is a client of ours. We worked with Agua by Agua Bendita. We have a bunch of other brands. And we help negotiate those terms for our brand clients. Typically, we don't love consignment, but if you have inventory, that might be a way for you to get into or launch at a retailer. I would also be wary of terms though. I mean, I would just say standard terms are like net 30. And for it to be favorable for you, it would be like X Works shipping terms. But yeah, I would definitely be wary of terms.
I would also advise to start small. You know, don't try to shoot for the stars and go to like all the major department stores in the US or in Canada if you so wish to come to our country. But start small and take baby steps and learn because you're going to make mistakes. If your first endeavor is with a large major department store, that could make or break your business. So start small. I don't know where your brand is based, but work with the local shops in your hometown and then gradually go on to, bigger or more international boutiques or shop-in-shops or pop-ups, like you were saying, and then continue to build your brand awareness. Sounds like you already have a big brand following, and then kind of take the next step. And you might need to even get representation for dealing with a large retailer because you may not know all of the ins and outs of all of the logistics and terms that go through it.
So I have a question for the buyers. At this point, is it better to do direct to consumer and build your own brand through social media, through Instagram, through like pop-ups, instead of like chasing the big retailers at the end of the day? They really don't care. No offense, but it's just like, is it better? Like, how do you start? And like, what's the new modern way to start?
I think you have to be strategic, and it's a mix of both. Like, you don't want to be at every big retailer, every specialty store. So it's really selecting your market and choosing the right partner. I mean, I was always very fair with the brands I worked with. Like, I saw it as a partnership and a long-term partnership. So I never gave them like horrible terms. Okay, I would ask for a discount or a sell-through guarantee that maybe was lower than average to really help them out. But not everyone is like that. So I think you really have to just choose your market and be very strategic into like, okay, I want to be in Miami, like who's the store, like who's my target, who's my customer, is she actually shopping there? Because you might want to be at the Webster, but your product is not a good fit for the Webster, for example.
And why be at the Webster if you can like have like a nice pop-up, seasonal, if you, depending on like what kind of collections do you have, like I said, if it's seasonal, if it's winter, if it's summer, I think it should just focus on like, certain states or countries.
I think when you're doing direct to consumer, you have firsthand insights into where your customer is, how they shop, what they're buying. You get way more behind the scenes access to, the types of products and pieces and silhouettes. I'm sorry, I don't know what kind of product you're designing, but you get a lot more intel that will help you leverage who your brand partners or retail partners could be once you have a little bit more understanding of who your customer is.
Yeah, I also think, like you were saying, having both, making sure you have your community too. I mean, a retailer can pick you up for one season and then drop you the next season. And so you can't just put all your eggs in one basket because you don't know what the state of the economy will be and how that will shape, if your sole business or, income is coming from wholesale business, I don't think that it bodes well. Like, you need to have your own source of income as well through your direct channels. We tell our clients that all the time. We can't, like, a big retailer can easily pull an order for a season, and it will impact the brand significantly.
I guess the pressure that retailers are under are so high that they obviously put the pressure back on the brands and will try to negotiate as hard as they can. So I remember when we started, it was really hard to know what to do because, of course, you dream of these stores, but then they might offer you sale or return, which is obviously a terrible starting point because it's really hard to get out of that because, of course, it's comfortable for a retailer to be able to return. So I think you need to really put your foot down and really stick to terms that are industry standard, ask for a deposit payment, which they will accept from small brands, and also be really careful about exclusivity because some department stores and retailers will demand really unreasonable exclusivities that reach areas way too big that no brands would really accept. But because you believe you really have to be there and you might, and then it can be really tricky. So we started actually with a sales agent quite early on that really helped us to figure out all these steps, and that was really a blessing because it took away a lot of pressure that as a designer you don't necessarily know how to handle.
Good morning.
Hi.
My name is Eduardo. I'm with Pigetti. My question to you guys, to the buyers, is if I have a chance to email you and I want to get your attention, obviously you have a very short attention span. You get, hundreds of emails every day. What does good look like in an email to get your attention? What should I put in it? How long or short should it be? Should I be emailing you on the weekend? Should I have attachments? Should I link attachments? What does good look like? How do I get your attention?
I personally, so you're right, I field through hundreds of emails a day. Designers will send me lookbooks or line sheets, and I think that's important to include. Something that always catches my attention is a personalized note. I talked a little about this yesterday at our merchandising panel is, if you're just sending me a drafted email that's copy-pasted that you're sending to every other retailer, to me, I need to be able to feel like you're actually taking the time to learn about who our store is. I want to make sure that I see that you've done your research and your homework on the store. Again, I don't know if you have a brand and Canada is your market, but Canada is a very specific market, so being able to do your research and understanding what that is. And making it not as sales pitchy, but being able to clearly describe who you are, what your brand is, what you stand for. I would say I hate when I get attachments that are over 4 megabytes. It always clogs my inbox and then makes my inbox full, so I will immediately delete them. And then sometimes it's great when you just have a link to your Instagram handle or your social channels, because at the end of the day, like everyone said here, we're on Instagram 24/7. I actually am able to get a clear view of previous seasons over Instagram because you might send me a lookbook for the current season. As a new brand, I'm always interested to see the development of how you've grown as a designer, and then average price points.
Like Joseph was saying, links are great instead of large attachments. I mean, yeah, it might not even get through if it's over like 8 megabytes, and so I would definitely be mindful of that. And even like if you want to send your lookbook, you could send it through a link, but screenshot, 3 key looks and include that in the body of the email, at least so it's visually compelling. I would definitely, those are the kind of emails that catch my eye, not the ones that have really large attachments.
Hi.
And yeah, no weekends. I agree.
Hi. I have a question here. Hi. First of all, thank you for being here. And thank you, Samantha and Stefania, for this great opportunity of bringing Latin American designers to this opportunity to meet you. So we're honored, first of all. I'm Betty Martinez. I'm from Puerto Rico. I'm the co-founder of an emerging brand called Viamina, in Espanol, Beamina. And I feel very proud of everything that we have accomplished. We have an iconic bag that we register also the design. And I will ask you, what will be a perfect marketing mix of an emerging brand to maintain relevant in the fashion industry?
I guess what I would say is visibility is really important. So staying on top of everything, even sending your product to people that you admire. I know it's expensive to send, it's your hard work, but it does really make a difference when someone sees your product in hand. Like whenever I get something and I can feel the material, I can see the quality, and it kind of makes me want to believe in the person more. And then if I believe in the person, then I recommend it to my friends and to editors, and that kind of really helps with visibility and kind of like staying on top of being relevant. So really just like trying to be, I know this doesn't really mean anything of saying trying to be like on top of it, but just doing your best essentially, and getting your product out there as much as you can.
Will you rather invest like in more like Facebook ads or in influencers? Because I know fashion industry evolves every single day.
I'm no expert in this whatsoever, but I feel like people tend to have a better chance at visibility with influencers just because they already have such a huge platform. And if you send your product to them and then they post about it and it's on their stories or it's a hard post, like that can get like so many likes, and that's only good for your brand. So it doesn't hurt to do that.
Thank you.
I could also answer you that part because we work with a lot of influencers, which many of them are here in the audience that we admire and respect so much. They're Laughs ambassadors. But there's two ways to go about it, and I think they're both equally important, which is someone that creates content, which is an influencer that does that for a living. It's amazing to get visibility. But there's also the influential girl or guy, which I think it's super, super important. What does that mean? Like, for example, my friend Dania, that's upstage. Is your Instagram open? Is it open now? It's finally open, okay. It's just recently open, okay. Bravo. Okay, so it's finally open. So it finally is open to the public. She might, I don't know, how many followers do you have? Because you never post? 3,000? Yeah, something like that. My point is, she never posts. She's super, yeah. But it doesn't matter. That one time she goes with a dress that I want, she has the right people that see her and respect her for her taste, for her eye, that I just want those 10 girls that follow her or saw her, that has a humongous impact. So you also have to think about, there's two ways to go about it. The influencers, which is awesome to get the big impressions, to get a lot of views. It's super, super, it's amazing. But also think about the tastemakers, the girls that have wonderful, that are super, super respected in the industry because of their job titles, because they're editors, because they're, and because you think they're the right fit for your brand. But maybe their Instagram is completely closed. But those 1,000 people that follow them are your clients. So think of that girl as well.
And also I feel like, if you sell bags, right? So just think about, let's say, Dior. That means Dior bag. It keeps like reinventing. So now they did a collaboration. Now they added like sequins. Now it's like, in another material. Now it's sustainable. Now it's, so you could use, I think it's very good to be known for the products. Like if I see you, I'm going to say, oh, she makes the bags that have the handle, right? So I think it's important that you don't keep changing and people know you for your product. So if you make hats, it's like, oh, this girl is the one that makes the hats with a beautiful beading. So to be known for that and also keep reinventing your same product. So it's like, it keeps new. And I think the Instagram is super important. Visually, everyone, probably none of the fashion people like to read, but so we are visual people, and so in the feed, that's what we see. Even like with the emails, I think when I get emails too, I really don't read it. So, I just look at pictures.
We have some questions from our virtual audience. As you know, we're broadcasting these sessions, and we have some questions. Some of them have been answered already, but specifically one that they constantly ask us is, as editors, what are your tips for getting into print or digital publications these days? Like, I want to say that brands, they want to be featured in magazines, digitally or in print. They really want to get your attention and being featured. Like, what would you say? What can get them there?
Well, for us, and I think like Fabricio already say, it's like the history, what you stand for, what your brand is. You know, for us at Town and Country, everything that, you know, we feature is because it has history, it has like a backstory to make it interesting to the reader, so it stands out from like the big crowd.
No more questions?
Now that you're here and you've seen what's going on with the Latin American designers, and this is a question that may not pertain to you particularly, but maybe to your bosses. Sometimes I've traveled and I go into a department store, let's say in London or Paris, and they're very strategic as to put conglomerates of designers from different continents, meaning European designers, Asian designers, you name it. Do you think it'll be possible for a store like this to maybe consider seeing what's going on to create that kind of space for the Latin American designers who clearly have a very specific point of view? Do you think that's something that could be possible?
Sure, 1,000%. I think our number one mantra when we're buying is, does the brand and the collection of brands align with our brand values? So I actually would say it's great when you do have the, segmented by country or kind of fashionability or lifestyle, but your product should be strong enough that it could seamlessly fit in with the rails without having to have that kind of like separation within it. For us and our store, we really, again, want to make sure that we're partnering with brands and collections that make sense to our customer needs, how our customer is operating on a day-to-day, what they're wearing day-to-day, how their lifestyles are, does it like work in the adaptability and the functionality of their wardrobe. And I would say what I'm inspired by here is all of the passion and energy that all of you designers have, and store owners and all that. So again, I would say as long as we're able to cultivate a story to the customer, again, whether it's in a designated Latin American space or strictly within the realms of our store, that's gonna what will lead to success.
Hi, I'm Juliana. I have a shoe brand called Juliana Hills. And my question is, which marketplace that works with drop shipping would you recommend was as an independent designer to work with? I have worked in the past with Wolf and Badger, that's based in London, in England, and I had a good experience. So I'm interested in finding a new marketplace that we could integrate our inventory and drop ship it from our warehouse.
What? I'm sorry, can you restate the question?
Okay, I understand. So which marketplace could we as independent designers work using drop shipping so we could integrate our inventory to their platform? As independent designers, do you recommend, have worked with any marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, we would say far-fetched. I think too, with dropship, it really depends on think about the shipping costs for you. I presume that you would be covering the cost for that. So whatever market is not as expensive for you.
I know, yeah, it's because I think when they are bigger as Wolf and Badger, I don't know if you're familiar with the platform, so they get better rates. So as shipping from New York to London to Europe costs a lot of less than if I would ship from my website, because they have better rates, because they have, a bigger amount of shipping monthly.
You guys answer? What was it?
Aquí, una última pregunta, Steph, aquí.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Iwan from Panama. I'm the co-designer of a brand called Atelier. I have two specific questions for anyone. What do you recommend us to put in the subject line of the email when we send our lookbooks? One. And two, when's the best time, month, week, or day of the week to send these emails?
Excellent question.
I know
Not
everyone
during
wants
market,
to
bro.
hear the answer.
Pardon me?
Not during market, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely not. I would say a little trick that I do sometimes when I'm like trying to get brands also is I put the store in the subject line, because again, that shows to me you're personalizing your email directly to the store or the publication you want to reach out to. Again, understanding the fashion calendar and understanding where the major buyers, editors are going to be. So during Fashion Week, if you're a women's collection, I would say February and September and October are blackout periods for us. We're not only dealing with, our day-to-day schedules while we're traveling on the road, but we're also dealing with our current brand partners that we're coordinating details with. If you understand the fashion calendar, always get ahead of it. So before we go from a buying perspective, before we go into market, we have a little bit of a lull where we're not receiving as many lookbooks or line sheets. So that's always a great opportunity for you to send a note. I don't know what day of the week is most optimal. Mondays and Fridays, maybe not so much. So I would suggest Wednesday.
So a trick that I do when I'm harassing people that I really want as speakers, so I go into LinkedIn or I go into different social media platforms to find who I have in common with. I stalk them, I write to them through all different angles, and then I find out what friend of mine it has the closest friendship to them. And then I call them up and I'm like, no, but like really, how close are you to them? And I really do my homework and I'm like, but like from 1 to 10, how close are you? And then I'm like, okay, Fabricio, so if you're that close, do you mind if I name drop your name on the subject of the email? And he's like, yes, feel free. So do that. Like if you have a friend that sells to that store, and by the way, we as women and as entrepreneurs, we need to support each other. Like if you're already selling at a department store or at a specialty store, like there's room for all of us. Like share the contact, share the love. Like there's just no need for us like to not be sharing and helping each other. So if you know of someone that sells there, reach out to them and be like, do you mind if I say that you gave me your email,
Okay.
Networking.
One really last question over here.
Hi everyone, I'm Luisa Pinilla. I'm a buyer for a marketplace based in Seattle. We have a brick and mortar as well. We have more than 60 brands. But now I'm struggling about, so my specific question is, what is the amount of core merchandise versus fashion collections? How do you collaborate with marketing in order to establish specific promotions so you can have a healthy competition with other marketplaces? Because, for example, I receive seasonal pieces from fall winter 22, and then bigger retailers are putting 70% off. So what is your suggestion to compete and have a healthy process with marketing to being able to sell the pieces? And then I know that there is a lot of questions that I'm asking here, but and third, how do you decide when emerging brand is ready to sell the pieces? I mean, how do you decide that they are ready to be the next step? Thank you. Specifically to Fabricio, if you...
Yeah, lots of questions.
Yes, I know.
I mean, fashion versus core, I mean, that's a key point in buying. It bubbles down to who your customer is. I mean, there are shops that are very fashion driven versus others you really are selling like black t-shirts. So you really need to understand your customer or what customer you want to acquire and really push that product. In terms of readiness to market, I mean, you really have to talk to the brands and see their production capacities, like how many units you need, time frames. Sorry, I forgot what else you asked. Marketing. I feel like marketing is always key to push, like what's your biggest inventory holding and really push either that brand or that specific product category. Again, if you're really fashion driven, push that product. If you are more, classic, conservative, push that other product. But again, it bubbles down to what your inventory levels look like and who you're talking to. Sorry, I hope that answers.
¿Hay tiempo para una última pregunta? I guess not. So, you find them personally and you make it personal. So, good morning again. Let's make it official. I'm here. A big round of applause. And no, I did not fall asleep or overslept, for the record. So anyway, thank you guys so much. This has been great for us, especially for all the new designers that are here that need to listen to you guys and understand how the business works. Because at the end of the day, this is a business that is really complicated, very intricate, and we want to make the best of it. And this has been amazing, amazing. It really has. So I want you all to stay seated because we're going to turn around into the next panel. I just want to say that you guys are beautiful. You really look beautiful from here. So I don't know how you do it, but you look amazing. Girls, you woke up at 6 this morning. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, and let's roll video.
Cuando algo de aquí triunfa, triunfamos todos.
Porque lo que nace de aquí nos representa donde sea.
Por eso a lo de aquí le ponemos corazón.
De aquí con corazón representa la visión de apoyo al producto local del Grupo CCN. Trabajando de la mano con empresarios y emprendedores que creen en la calidad de lo que hacen. Por eso, los ayudamos a mejorar sus procesos para que crezcan junto a sus comunidades. Porque si le ponemos corazón a lo de aquí, podemos soñar con llegar a donde sea.